All right, and now I am going to what in the world was the option? It was
I don't know where you would allow it. Probably in participants or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I got 4 different menus. But if anybody has, if now's the time to start asking questions.
Have you opened up for?
I'm working on it, but
raise hand.
Optimize audio options. I know there was one that said, "Oh, manage participants." Here we go. Now, where is that? All right. Unmute all, and then I'm going to mute everybody and allow participants to unmute themselves. Okay, so now if you have a question, you can unmute yourself or raise your hand if you don't want to talk or whatever. But yeah, who has any questions on regular expressions in particular? Have one you're working on? Jackie, are you trying to unmute yourself on my computer? Can you talk, Jackie?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I was actually trying to unmute myself on your computer because, again, the full screen is filling all of my
gotcha.
controls, so I keep trying to click stuff on your end. So yeah, I can't see anybody else unmuting themselves, which is okay. If you don't have anything to say, that's fine. But yeah, we actually covered the very basics of how you could use Redx, at least, which I felt was quite good.
Until we get a question, how about you go ahead and get back into this, and let's do one example of the replace.
Redx replace one.
And I do see one from Jonathan of how to use regex to read RSS. I think we're going to need some more specifics on that. And basically, perhaps what you're really interested in is being able to parse it and look for certain parts of the RSS. I kind of think of it as with HTML. I have a bunch of stuff that's HTML tags around it, and I want to not look at the tags. I want to look specifically at the text and look for certain things in the text. I don't know if that's what you mean.
RSS, isn't that normally XML, or is that just me remembering wrongly?
I don't know.
That's a format I've often seen RSS feeds being in. So, but
which actually, even though this goes against regular expressions overall, I want to bring it up because it was a game changer when years ago, Jackie, you answered one of my questions in the forum on scraping stuff from a website, and you showed me how to basically get around the DOM on a table. And I used to get the entire table and write these crazy regular expressions to go grab specific things from different parts of it, right? Because I didn't realize I can easily get columns, and parse out the rows and iterate over it. And so it negated the need for me to do these complicated regular expressions by better understanding the DOM, right? And that's what made me think about this was the XML stuff is you can parse the XML, right, if it's XML, and probably get exactly what you want from it without having to use a regular expression. You still might need one, but you don't have to do the whole thing as just text, right? Leverage the structure of the data and get very specific with what you want to find.
Yeah, I also felt when I learned that way back that it's the pure structure, that you get from using that measure that makes it feel superior, at least, to actually doing it with Redx. But yeah, it might not be a case of, hey, this is a good place to use Redx, but more to the other way around, that utilize the tool at hand, and then maybe not as a last resort use regex, but something like that.
Well, it complements it, right? You might
Yeah.
still use it. It's just that you're not going to use it against everything. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of loading in an entire web page's HTML and then using regex to find a string within one of the elements on the page, you could simply just use either an HTML file or an HTML object or something else to actually get.
And that's where I've run into where, especially the class names, right, that you showed me a while ago. And like, man, more often than not, classes, you can get to almost exactly what you want on so many web pages, but it isn't always, unique enough to get you just what you want. And that's where I would get the data out from the class name, the one closest around it, and then maybe use a regex across that to get this.
Yeah. It's interesting to see, at least from my point of view, who hasn't really been within the web page building industry or anything, but I remember way back when I first looked at HTML code and tried building my first small web page things and stuff like that, that everything was done with names and IDs and stuff, and you can even see it in the old forum. That you always use the functions against that. But in recent times, all of these things like WordPress and other tools to build web pages that use some other programming language to do it, then you see much more of the structure being done with classes instead of actually doing it with IDs and names and stuff. And I think that some of it comes down to the style sheets, the CSS, which kind of defaults to using the class to differentiate. But it might be too much of a stretch to say that that's the reason. But I have a feeling that it's something like that. That over the years it's just been how you have structured the data on a web page, and then it's just gotten used more and more.
Hey, I have a question actually on regular expressions, and so this POSIX, which I have this demo here I've used, right, and it works, but I look at it as it's for the layman, it's much easier to read and kind of get a guess of what in the world's going to happen. What I'm curious is, does my hope is it will transfer, because if I remember right, I forget this. Oh, I knew the acronym, but it has to do with Unix, right? It was making it open source for Unix, and I'm curious if the regular expression is more likely to work in different languages, and if anyone knows about if that's the case.
Okay, you kind of lost me there, and I might not be the one to actually answer it, but you were hoping that the pattern you had made here would also work for other languages?
Well, that's my question of why the selling point of using POSIX, or to me, is it's often, I can understand. I look at the thing and I don't have to know regular expressions. I can look and it says upper, or it'll say alpha, right, or digit. And intuitively, even someone who hasn't played with these, it's intuitive, right? And there's lower and this and that. But what my gut is that's not really the only strength. Is that I'm curious if doing it this way would allow it to work in other, like on a Unix system, the same regular expression, which I don't know. I've never done regex on a Unix system. Is it the same?
I would say one of the things that I immediately think about is that your named pattern, I'm not sure that that's adaptable to other languages. So your question mark capital P, smaller than digits, larger than, and then the rest of the pattern. I'm not sure that that's compatible with
I'm sure. Yeah,
languages.
that wouldn't surprise me. I was surprised. I looked at a couple, and they do that same thing, but I'm sure a lot don't.
Yeah, I can't say for sure because I'm at the same disadvantage as you. I've not done regular expressions in enough languages.
But that's not the POSIX, right? The POSIX is this.
Yeah, I get that, but
Yeah.
it was just if you wanted to use that expression in another language, if you needed to go in and review it anyway by removing parts of it and keeping track of whatever is there and stuff like that. That's just what I meant.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm just still saying is because I just like using names in them. That's all why I use it. I want to make sure it worked. But is this going to work? Is this more reliable? And I understand you're saying you don't necessarily know. I have a friend who uses Unix a lot. Maybe he can tell me. I was just curious if anyone on the webinar knew.
I can't say because I've never actually seen that used, but that's probably because I've searched for something else.
Sure, yeah.
And just like the other characters, it depends on the flavor of the radix. So if the other language is using the same flavor, also on a Unix system, if that's using the same flavor of radix, then your normal pattern should work. Just accept the special characters from within AutoHotkey. Those, of course, can't be used. Like double quotes being double quoted and other small weird things that might not be compatible, and most of that is to do with the options.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking of another question that I wouldn't mind maybe tackling if people are interested, but the whole look ahead and look behind stuff. Can you talk to that? Do you know them well enough where you can, like, maybe this is I don't want to use that example. You know what I'm talking about?
I was reading the chat, Joe, so I missed the first part you asked about.
I was wondering if you wanted to sell your children, and you said yes. So
yeah, I did.
I was talking about the look aheads or look behind thing, because that's one I still haven't. A long time ago, you gave me a solution that used it, and I looked at it, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get it, but I still am not 100% on that, and I'd love if anyone's interested, I'd love to see an example of talking it through.
Yeah, I I have the idea down. I just don't have the syntax down right now.
Okay,
but we could probably easily solve that.
Yeah, so, I think it's like, is it a question mark equals something like that?
It's something like that.
Mason Jar says he can do one.
Yeah, you can see it was the question mark equals.
But
that's the look ahead, right?
Yeah. So, but all right, that's what the syntax is. But I'm trying to grasp how and why I would use it.
You would use it because you wanted to only check for something around something, but without actually having it influence your match. Does that make sense?
That's where I get hung up, because to me it doesn't, because the fact that I'm looking for it there, to me.
No, but because you're so used to now using sub captures.
Yeah.
So you can get what you want without them.
Okay.
But if you didn't use these sub capturing groups, it would be useful for you to look at something that comes after what you want to catch, and only catch it if it's there. But if you just define all of it, say, hey, but I'm only interested in the first subgroup, and then just continue with that. But if you needed to do it a million times, you would get a lot of unneeded captures.
Well, except for I think if you put in the question mark colon, does that sound right? That you can put in the it doesn't actually store that. It'll still use the pattern, but if I remember right, it doesn't store it. Does that sound right?
Yeah, but again, you can easily enough work around it, but it's just another way of doing the same thing.
Okay. Okay, Captain Odin has an example here. I don't know if that's written. Maybe it looks like it might be written for.
That's a look before.
Oh, I should have. Sorry, I put that in the wrong spot. Hopefully, I'm warm here. Is that?
So you're looking for, let's say that. Yeah, you could probably try and do that.
Oh, I got rid of my. So this will be 1, right?
Yeah, and he also had a revision to it because he didn't want to have the look before there. Just the equal.
So like that?
No. I can see that he's revising it as we go, because I would say it needs to be a look before. So the first version you had there was correct, except that you actually, try with that one there.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
currently.
you can't use the double quotes in there.
Can I do that then?
No, no, you can't have the equal. It's looking before for the word value, right? And you can't have an equal sign in there. You need to escape that after the value.
Well, you drive. You drive.
Yeah, okay. So
you should still have control, I think.
Here, need to escape, like so. You couldn't. The other one would have special meaning. I don't know what it's saying. It doesn't want me to.
Just hit yes. It should be fine.
Yeah, I did.
Hold on, because let me take care of this. So I'm going to get rid of these, and exit, and now there we go. Okay.
And it's blank because it doesn't match anything most likely.
Just throw a return after that if you want.
Yeah, let's do that. Just need it. Let's say that. So here we actually need to define in these. And if we also wanted to grab that one there. Let's see if that works better. Still doesn't really work.
And this is, this is me, how my, when I'm working with a reg expression, this is exactly how it goes. Oh, that didn't quite work. That didn't quite work. Yeah. And so I compartmentalize it down often and break it down until I solve one little piece, and then I add to it a little bit at a time.
No, don't do that. We could probably do it like something else. Oh, like this. Still would need that one extra there. Just let's see if we can actually make it work.
Mason jar has something that it looks like if we throw in another command after it.
No, but this.
What's the K? I've seen
the K. That's the one where you discard the pattern before that, so you wouldn't get that return to the entire pattern. But yeah, here's an example. But that's not. Yeah, you have a look ahead at the end there. Yeah.
So the other thing to point out, which I'm going to say astounded me, but that's an overstatement. But not everything that is capable in the regex stuff is in the AutoHotkey documentation, because it follows the PRCE, PCRE, whatever.
PCRE.
Compatible, Pro compatible reg expression. It follows that structure. So go out and find basically anything that follows a structure, and it should theoretically work, I think, in AutoHotkey. And
yeah, I think that if, let's say, you went over here somewhere, I don't know how much, that's on another screen, apparently. Yeah. I wanted to pull up one of the tools, like, let's say, Redx 101 or something like that, where if we actually, that's actually your full screen. Amazing. So if we, let's say we just took this one line here, and you had not that one, this one here, and you have some options there, or what?
Don't you want it in the bottom part, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, sorry.
I was just unsure. It felt as if other stuff was selected, and we put this one in here. I'm clicking on my own screen, so yeah. That's also an easy way of switching your windows around. So like this, we could quickly see here that we ain't actually finding what we want to find.
Right, and that's why I love tools like this.
Here you can see it actually is finding a match here on value. So to actually get the digit in here, we either need to extend this one, and I don't believe that you can do a look ahead for, let's say, something that's escaped like this. Can I get these through? Something like that. As you can see now, it's not matching anything anymore, and if it's like so, again, it should be matching the entire one.
Well, you lost your E in the value.
Yeah, I did. So this one is finding, or it's saying that it's finding everything with that one, and it will probably also find this one, whereas that you would need to handle that specifically in AutoHotkey. Here you would be able to match it. Like so.
Now, and this is one just to remind everybody, right? Because in here where you're using double quotes, that still won't work the same in AutoHotkey, right?
No, double quote in here, you need to handle that specifically in AutoHotkey.
Yeah.
But if the rest of it, if that works, it's the one of the only characters that you need to handle specifically in AutoHotkey. That.
Are there any others off the top of your head that you can remember that are like that?
No, not really. If you were using another flavor, like say JavaScript or something like that, you might need to handle single versus double. So if you have surrounded the pattern with the double quote, you could use the single quote, and vice versa, which you can kind of do in AutoHotkey. You can use the single quote because it doesn't interfere with how the double quote works, but you can't switch them around.
Right.
But you can in version 2. Yeah. Yeah, double quotes is to use traditional syntax variable assigning. Yeah.
Is that where you don't use the quotes at all? You just do the equal?
I'm unsure if that's what's meant, but that was the first one that you showed in your 3 examples up here, where you would use the normal equal sign, the old assigning method. But, I'm not sure that's what he actually meant with his text. Equals doesn't need escaping a way around using. Yeah. It is your version 1 up here. But this one that I have down here, I would actually have believed that I would have found the 20, but it does not seem to do so. Can you see what I'm...
Mm-hmm.
So something with whatever we're doing down here doesn't actually work on the actual test string. You can see it here. Your regular expression does not match the subject string. And why that is, that's probably because this is a look ahead and not a look behind. Oh, I can't make that. Can you make that?
Well, make what?
Lesser than. So here you actually got it to work, because now you're actually looking to the left of what you're looking for, whereas the other one was looking to the right of it.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So this
looks like...
Yeah.
Nothing. I just thought Chad was leaving. Bye, Chad.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, bye, Chad. Anybody else who has these quite interesting things that they have encountered with Redx? See, this one won't work because, again, I need to escape the double quote here. We're still getting a blank returned, which kind of weirds me out. Let's see if we do it like this. If it will allow us to do it like that. No. So this one actually worked on the other one, but it doesn't work on this one. Is that shouldn't have any other... I don't see a reason.
No, never mind. I was going to say you need multi-line, but you don't.
No, shouldn't need that.
And this is where sometimes I get confused on it, but do you need a star asterisk before all of that to say there's stuff before it? Or it'll find it anywhere? Like right there. Yeah.
Yeah. That depends. If you want it to be on the actual start of the line, I'm not sure you can actually put the asterisk here. I can't say.
It's okay.
That one I don't know about. I don't believe that you can do it that way.
It looks like Captain Odin's signing off too.
Okay, goodbye. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see that it isn't always as straightforward as one might hope.
Try adding the M to that. Yeah, we can try that.
You need the closure param.
Yeah, I do. It's also a bit late here.
Yeah.
That's how that is. But again, right now I've kind of messed this up. So what we got working on the other one was this without the M option. And normally I'd say that would work. But again...
Except for the quote, right? The double quote.
Yeah, except for the double quote. Again, we could probably put in, let's say, this one X22 perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
That might work.
So the question mark less than equal sign is all saying look to the right, is that right? Or to the left?
Sorry, was typing.
Yeah. I was just trying to make sure I understood what the question mark less than equal sign was telling it to do. Yeah.
This one here? Yeah, if I were to say that it was actually doing anything, this one question mark, that's just saying something special is going to happen.
Oh, okay.
So that's what that does. That's why you can also do like this. So the question mark is just telling special things happening.
Uh-huh.
And then you can see this actually forming an arrow.
Uh-huh.
It's forming a left pointing arrow. So it's looking for values to the left of your actual pattern. Whereas one could argue that maybe the other one should then have looked like this, but someone has chosen not to put that in there. So this is enough. So that would look to the word value to the right of the numbers. So yeah, that's some of it at least. Did that answer it, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Still irritating those two characters here.
So they're saying also remove the 1 from the SEL underscore because there's no subpatterns. But isn't that, it's wrapped in parens? Isn't that a subpattern? Or
where we're at?
I'm looking at the chat and they're saying to remove the 1 from line 15, I believe, SEL underscore 1. I think that's what they're talking about, is remove the 1 from the message box there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably why we're getting the empty message box. That's probably right.
But so that won't be a subpattern?
No, this in here, no, that's not a subpattern. No, that's how you normally use it, but that's not how this is actually used.
Okay. No wonder why I was confused.
That is why this one here is telling you this is not a subpattern. This is special.
Okay. Here you go.
I had actually hoped it worked this time.
Yeah.
But we needed this one here. I can make that sign. Can you make it?
Less than? Yeah.
Yeah. And then we do those double quotes there. And yay! So that was the small error. Awesome. That was the actual one. So the pattern would have worked almost as we copied it from the webpage, as we would normally suggest that it did.
Well, I'm thank you. That just the clarification of that the question mark in front of the parens means it's not necessarily a subpattern. I mean that.
That just tells you that it's doing something special within.
Yeah, I thought every time you had parens, it was going to be a subpattern.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you're right. Here, it could also seem as if it was like that, but that's just because you're actually saying that the special thing that's happening is that you're naming a subpattern.
Right.
So it's still telling you that whatever is going on in here is a special case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It is. I must say that figuring out, again, something like this with phrasing strings and picking stuff out, I always feel like you get the best patterns done when you actually have something complex to look for, just like we did here where we couldn't make it work, and sadly enough we had another error that actually made us try a lot of unneeded stuff. But again,
and honestly, I mean that's what especially when you do this day in day out, it becomes much easier. But when you touch them once a month, it's easy to forget some little subtleties.
Yeah, and also with RedX, as none of us has used, or at least none of the two of us have used these look aheads and look behinds very much, we might immediately fault the RedX. Our RedX skills are easily the ones that we look at, where the error was actually just on the line below.
Right.
Yeah. So again, you can also easily use too much time on trying to either use RedX or to refine your RedX pattern. Sometimes you can use way too much time on trying to make it smaller. Where what does it actually give you? your regex pattern is small. Yeah.
Which is also why, even though it can be misleading a little bit, but doing it in another tool where you can see what you're highlighting, and you isolate it down and then bringing it over and just change one thing at a time, right? It can help spot what went wrong.
Yeah, and you could say, let's say, as an example, in with your 3 examples up here, if you went with the first example you had, the one where you used the single equal or the equal alone, you had another line, but you didn't have that much extra stuff within your pattern, but you needed to type out a variable and stuff like that. And your second one, where you needed to type out 4 characters each time you had a double quote, someone would also have believed that that would be too much typing. And then the last version where you had to escape the double quote with a double quote. Again, you're doing a little bit less typing, but each time you go down one here, the first one I feel is the one that's, to me, is the most clear. Not right now, after we have added a lot of stuff in there. But before then, I couldn't do that. Interesting. So your commenting key is another one than mine. But hey, I can just remove these over here. I feel that the first one is the one where the actual pattern is the clearest. You show exactly the things that you want to grab, and they are typed out like you want them to be. A double quote is a double quote and stuff. Whereas here, you like it because you can keep it within your functions line.
It was more that it also just was in. I mean, I can see /x22 in no, it means a double quote, and I can just put it right in there. It isn't necessarily it's one line. That's what I said earlier. You're right, but it has more to do with just it makes sense to me because the top one in this example, I think hands down, you're right. Line 12 is better. In more complex ones, I'm not so sure that would always pan out to be the case.
No, you're most likely correct. And again, unless you are actually splitting up the pattern and stuff like that, if your actual regex pattern here with a lot of sub patterns and stuff like that, if that extends, let's say, the width of your screen, and you have other wrap on or something like that, and it starts on the next line and things, I can see it easily becoming unmanageable.
And if you see Cap Noden's comments, it made me laugh because I've done that too, and I start getting so darn confused of where do my quotes begin and end? What am I escaping?
Yeah, exactly. I also remember thinking that, hey, if I needed to escape the quote, maybe because sometimes it just doesn't work immediately, and then I'm tired or something, and I think, hey, how about I put quotes around the quote? That should do it. And then it just becomes way too many quotes.
Yeah. And then it finally works, and I go, whatever. I'm not going to look at it.
Exactly. Yeah. But regular expressions are an interesting thing. I remember just the other day telling someone else about the computer being able to recognize a pattern because they said, but we can't ask the computer to recognize a pattern. I was like, but someone has actually coded something so that the computer can recognize patterns in text and stuff like that. And they was kind of like, no, that can't be possible. I don't believe that it can do that. And it's like, but of course it can't learn to recognize a pattern on its own within this part, but you can teach it how the pattern is built, and no, you cannot teach it, but you can tell it how the pattern is built using the correct symbols. And I could see on their face they're just like, okay, if you say so, win this one, let me in peace, or whatever. Yeah, it was just interesting that they were so set on it not being able to recognize a pattern. Yeah.
So Cap Moden's taking that machine learning.
Yeah, I've just read a few articles on that, and it's amazing what they can actually do now.
Absolutely. And you remember, I should, I don't know if I know how to reach you, Cap Node, but remember that article I forwarded you, Jackie?
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, on patterns and how much it does at looking at images, and it was just amazing. Like when you look at how fast the things identify. What was an example, like a dog or a cat or something? And
a cat, yeah. They had just fed it a million or 30 million images of cats and not told it what to look for, and quite quickly it started recognizing whiskers and noses and eyebrows and stuff like that. And within how many times it actually did it, it actually ended up recognizing a cat face, but again, it recognized a lot of other stuff as well.
Sure.
But one of the things it recognized was the face of a cat, which was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, my background is actually a data scientist, where I'm doing analytics. I just got bored with it, and I didn't do machine learning stuff. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but it is in my realm of what I work in, and at least did work in. And it is fascinating of some of the stuff that's out there now.
Yeah, and I must say the recent things, I don't know, I don't always think about these things, but one of the recent things was with the Facebook feed and stuff like that, that all of these big systems or big companies, might be the right way to put it, are actually trying to apply all of their data to, or trying to apply machine learning to the data. I don't know if you would say it one or the other way, because you need vast amounts of data to have the machine actually learn something. But as they actually have vast amounts of data, they're trying to let the machines find patterns that humans would never find within human behavior on social media, which is it's just interesting that there is a chance that the machine will see a pattern in our behavior that we wouldn't even see ourselves.
So. Well, I think it also, not to go into the politics, but I want to bring it up just as a case scenario. I lean very heavily in one direction in politics. And of course, virtually every post I saw on social channels were supporting my viewpoint, right? Which I think for a lot of people, just because I was much more aware of it. But even then, I think I was biased to think that wow, there's a lot more support for the way that I view things, because look at the social channel, right? It's all this. And the point is, no, it's not. It's Facebook and LinkedIn too and stuff have done a good job of feeding me things that I will like. And yet I think it's a reflection of the general population, when that isn't really the case necessarily.
Yeah, one of the ones that my wife and me laughed about recently was that we started getting more and more sponsored things about buying a house. And we weren't really talking about buying a house, but still, our situation is at a place where we are able to buy a house if we wanted to, but still, it was just interesting that all of a sudden, because me or her or whoever had clicked on one of these, hey, you can buy this house,
right?
And we just started getting more and more. And each time there was an interesting house, one of us would probably click it, and over time, it would just learn that, hey, they're interested in actually looking at houses. And,
This, by the way, I know we're a little, it's still sort of in the realm of regular expressions, but this is this text sift is a thing written in AutoHotkey, demonstrating different types of search patterns, right? So you can so this one is matching it's anywhere in. You can have it matching to the left, to the right, exact. It won't match anything. Here's the regex one. Ordered characters. So if it looks for the order that whatever you type in. Unordered just looks anywhere if any of these letters are in any of them. And then the n-grams, it's really interesting if you read up on how this works. In structuring, it takes groups of the characters, if I remember right, and will bounce them off it.
We got a question here in the chat, Joe. If we have a topic for the next webinar, and I don't believe that we do we?
No, we hadn't agreed on one. No.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And if anyone has any strong beliefs in something, I think honestly, I think for the most appeal, I'd say web scraping would be the biggest one that would be a fun one that I think we'd have a big interest in.
Yeah, we've kind of pushed that one ahead of us for a little time now, but yeah, we will probably do it soon. Machine learning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Captain Odin has offered to lead the webinar on machine learning. We appreciate that.
Yeah. We'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a fascinating world of what's going on out there. Yeah, I mean, we are definitely open to something that's more in our wheelhouse. I think that also, even though I am happy to talk about it anytime you want to talk about stuff, but I don't think the masses and on average there'd be high level interest in it. But
no, we would need to highlight a few things. But yeah, I would be interested in presenting something. Web scraping would be pretty easy for me. Yeah, okay. That's always nice to have more people interested in that.
So here's the other not tricky one, but just to keep in mind, the next one will be in holiday times. So just so we know, it's maybe we should keep the web scraping one for in January when there'll be more people, I think, that will attend.
Oh, so you don't believe there will be that many on?
I just think it'll be lower than normal. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. You might be right. I don't know. Again, here most people wouldn't be away from their normal routine at that time.
Okay. Well, actually, the class structure to me that would be an awesome one as well.
Yeah.
It's the if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the second or third Tuesday?
The third.
Okay.
So it's the 20th of December.
Yeah. See that a lot of people here in the States they'll be out. Of course, that might mean they actually attend because they can free up from work and this is fun. It just depends if they're traveling.
Yeah. Of course, you're right about that one. That's also a possibility of them doing it that way. I don't know, Joe. We can also do a holiday theme one if if we wanted to.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of what that would mean, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm not wearing an elf suit.
I made an AutoHotkey script that would become a time saver of Xmas things moving around on screen. So no, I don't know. It could be a lot of different stuff. But there would probably be enough content on the AutoHotkey forum with a winter/Xmas theme if we wanted to.
Yeah. I see. I think that'd be awesome, Mason Jar. If you want to do a class and have one on Christmas tree, and we can have a couple other things to bring up around them. Because even though I will use classes, I don't create them. I understand overall what they're doing, but I haven't. That's a deep one for me, and I'm looking forward to learning on that.
Yeah, I must say that back in the day, I think it was Frankie or something who had made a video.
Yeah, he did.
Where he had a car factory, and you would then the class would then have whatever. I can't remember everything, but you would have a car model, and then yeah,
Yep.
have tires and stuff like that.
Yeah. Let's see, HK functionality, don't air classes. I must have called it something else, but I have a whole, I played, objects, probably put it in there. But yeah, I played a lot with his example, here we go, class. Yeah, Frankie Apple example.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's another one, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's a great topic. It's one of those, definitely is, you know what, and that's a great one. Let's plan it, because that way noobs aren't really, even though they still, some might be interested, it's just going to be over a lot of their heads. And still, even, I'm tackling it. So I think that's a good one to have, where the people who are really into it will still attend.
Yeah.
So that sounds good.
Absolutely. Should we soon wrap it up soon, or?
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, so people, when they watch this later, can stop listening to me babble. But thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great being able to go over some of this with you.